Welcome to the webinar today, Highlights from the Quality Compendium, State Trends Toward Recognition and Support. I'm Debbie Mathias from the BUILD Initiative and the Director of the Early Childhood Quality Improvement Systems Network. BUILD works with community, state, and national partners to develop early childhood systems that are equitable and excellent for all marginalized children, their families, and communities. BUILD partners with state early childhood leaders to catalyze change and implement a whole child, whole system vision. Today, we're excited to share the latest highlights from the Quality Compendium, which is sponsored by the BUILD Initiative and managed by Child Trends. This webinar discusses overall trends in the new 2023 Quality Compendium data, including the shift from rating to recognition and states' approaches to continuous quality improvement. We'll hear directly from state leaders in Illinois and Maryland as they share insights about their own QIS system. We're also excited to announce the complete data set and top trends, but more on that later. Remember to go to the site to explore the latest findings and data. We're interested in your questions, ideas, and thoughts throughout the session, so please enter into the chat box if something strikes you. If you have a resource or strategy to contribute from your work, please share. If you have a question, please use the Q&A tab and to help us locate the questions more quickly during the session. Now let's go to our first couple of slides. We're going to talk about the compendium, trends, then we'll hear from Maryland and Illinois. We'll have time for questions and discussion. We'll pause a little bit after each state talks about their use of the data and their quality systems. So be sure to enter a few questions if you have specific questions for the states as they wrap up. Let's go to the next slide. Here are our panelists today. There's me, Deb Mathias, on the left, and I'd like to welcome Holly Keaton and Kylie Novak, both from Child Trends. They're going to fill us in on the details about the compendium. Then we have Jenna Smith, the Director of Quality Improvement Initiatives for the Division of Early Childhood at the Maryland State Department of Education. In her position, she oversees Maryland's quality rating and improvement system called Maryland Excels. She also oversees Maryland Accreditation and the Accreditation Support Fund. She was a former pre-kindergarten teacher in Connecticut, and she moved to Maryland in 2001. Prior to joining the Maryland State Department of Ed in 2009 as the Training Approval Coordinator for the Workforce Advancement Branch, Jen was the Director of the Community Action Council of Howard County Head Start. Then welcome to Holly Houle. She's joining us from the Illinois Department of Health and Human Services. Health Human Services. Holly's currently serving as the Program Development and Quality Improvement Unit Manager in Illinois. In her past employment, she was a child care licensing representative for the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. Prior to working for the state of Illinois, Holly worked as an early childhood special education teacher in the public school system for 7 years. She's originally from Springfield, Illinois, and she's lived there since then. So I'd like to kick it off and hand it over to Holly to get us started on the technical part of the Quality Compendium. Thanks everyone for joining.
Great, thank you, Debbie, and hello everyone, thank you. We're going to start by providing some background about the Quality Compendium. So if you don't know, the Compendium is a database of 46 quality improvement systems and initiatives, most of which are statewide quality rating and improvement systems, but you'll hear us use the term QIS throughout this presentation to be more inclusive of the range of initiatives happening across the country. First compendium was prepared as a report for the Federal Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation in 2010. And in 2013, we developed the online compendium database, which at the time was known as the QRIS Compendium. In 2017, we shifted to biannual data collection, and the fall of 2023 was our most recent data collection update. Over time, the number of QIS have increased, attributed in part to the federal Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge Grant Program. And as this field has rapidly emerged over the last 20 years, we've developed several primary purposes of the compendium. Next slide, please. The compendium serves as a resource with up-to-date detailed information for learning how states, territories, and localities approach quality. It also aims to capture shifts in the field over time and help state, territory, and local administrators identify promising practices in other systems that may inform changes to their own systems. So now I'm going to turn it over to Kylie, who's going to talk a little bit more about what our data collection process looks like and the information currently available on the compendium.
Perfect. Thank you, Holly. So I'll be giving an overview of the data collection process first. So the first step is that we partner with state, territory, and local QIS administrators across the nation to fill out an online profile about their QIS. And we typically have administrators fill out their profiles starting in September or the early fall. The next step, as profiles are completed, our team at Child Trends will review each one to make sure that the information is consistent across the different sections of the profile. And at this stage, we are regularly communicating with the administrators through email or phone call to clarify any inconsistencies that might come up or any missing information. And then once that is done, we meet with each administrator to further clarify their data and also ask about specific topics. So as an example, some of the topics that we discussed this data collection cycle in 2023 were how QIS are applying an equity lens to their system, engaging in continuous quality improvement, and removing the rating component of the QIS. And we're very excited to hear a bit more from Jenna and Holly about these topics later on today. And so once these steps are complete, the data from all the profiles are published on the website. And so this year, the compendium houses data on 46 QIS. Next slide, please. Okay, so gave a little background on the work that goes into the compendium. Now I want to kind of go over how the compendium website can be used and highlight some of its most useful features. Next slide. So we collect a variety of information on each QIS, split up into different sections or tabs, which you can see here. And so the information can range from basics about whether the QIS has a rating system to more specific details about their quality indicators. Next slide. And so there's a variety of ways to use the compendium website. You can view information on an individual QIS. You can make comparisons between multiple QIS, and you can also look at trends across all of the QIS that we have in the compendium. Next slide. So if someone wanted to view the full profile for just one QIS, you would click View State Profiles at the top, circled in red. So this is a screenshot of what the website will look like. And this is actually our most frequently visited page. And it will pull up a map where you can select an individual state or territory. And the image shown here is an example of what you would see if you were to click Colorado. And then someone could click through each of the different tabs or sections to learn more about Colorado's QIS. Next slide. You can also download the full data set of all the profiles on the compendium by going to About the Data at the top of the screen and selecting Data Sets. And we really suggest using this feature to complete analyses, as the data sets have been cleaned so that they're very easy to navigate. And you can pull information or pull data from the most current data collection year, so 2023, or you can view historical data going back to 2014. Next slide. So if someone wanted to compare a few different QIS and a few variables, they can use the create a report function. So you can select up to 3 QIS and any specific data points that you're interested in comparing. For example, you might just want to look at the number of levels across a few different QIS like in your area. Next slide. So once you make those selections for the create a report function, you can easily navigate across those different QIS and the variables you selected as you see in this image. And you would also be able to download a CSV data file with the information you selected to make any analyses easier as well. Next slide. We also report on the top trends from each data collection cycle. So you can look at, as an example, what observational tools each QIS uses, or which QIS use a rating system, and whether those QIS use a block, a point, or a hybrid approach. And we'll be hearing a little bit more from Holly Keaton about some top trends from this data collection cycle. Next slide. And then I just wanted to point out a few other helpful tools on the website. So we have a library of fact sheets that we have put out over the years that also look at trends across time. And this year we will be adding fact sheets on program participation in QIS and the use of continuous quality improvement. So be on the lookout for those. And then also under the About the Data section, you can find a glossary that provides definitions for each data point that we collect. So now I will turn it back over to Holly to discuss trends in the data this year.
Great, thank you, Kylie. Next slide, please. So we added a few new data elements for our data collection cycle last year. The first is quality definition or philosophy, which asks QIS to describe how they're defining quality. We also have other types of incentives for support, which details the types of non-financial support that programs receive when participating in a QIS. So this could be something like classroom materials or free technical assistance. We also, if a QIS has multiple TA provider types, the coordinating technical assistance field asks them to describe the methods used to coordinate TA across these providers. Access to observational tools asks administrators to detail the strategy that they're using to promote access to observational tools used by the QIS. Process for conducting observations is the approach that they're taking, so virtual only, hybrid, or in-person only. And finally, system improvement strategy details the strategies used to engage in quality improvement at the systems and the implementation level. So now we'll dive into some of the trends. Next slide, please. So this first one is about upcoming revisions to systems. We asked administrators about any revisions that they had planned, and 43% are currently planning some type of revision, with the most common focus for revisions being standards and indicators, rating systems, processes, or policies, and technical assistance and coaching. Next slide. Investive childcare and early education programs may engage in continuous quality improvement. Most QIS also engage in strategies for systems improvement. So many of these QIS engage in ongoing trainings or resources for their staff, or they may coordinate with other early childhood systems to engage in continuous quality improvement. But as you can see, QIS employ a variety of strategies for quality improvement at the systems and the implementation level. Next slide, please. This slide looks at participation density, which we define as the number of programs participating in the QIS out of the entire universe of possible participating programs in the state or territory. So participation density ranges from 2% to 100%, and it really largely depends on the participation rules of the QIS. So for example, some QIS automatically enroll all licensed programs, whereas others may only require that programs that receive CCDF subsidies participate in the system. So for licensed centers in 2023, the average program density was 66%. And for 18 of those QIS, their center density increased from 2021 to 2023, while it decreased for 9 QIS. For licensed family childcare, the average program density was 58%, and 20 QIS had an increase in their family childcare program density from 2021 to 2023, while 8 QIS had a decrease. The most popular rating system type is the block system, which is followed by a hybrid system that has blocks at early levels and points at later levels. You'll also notice that we have an option for a no rating system, as 4 QIS do not have a rating component to their system. And those 4 QIS are Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, and then one of Florida's local QIS, Florida Miami-Dade. Next slide, please. We also asked administrators what incentives, both financial and non-financial, they offered to programs who participate in their system. So the most common incentive was free or reduced price technical assistance or coaching, followed by classroom or facility materials and quality awards and bonuses. Next slide, please. Great, so those are all the trends that we'll be discussing today, but if you'd like to see more of these or look at some of these graphs again, you can visit the top trends page on the Quality Compendium website. And now I will turn it over to Jenna, who's going to discuss Maryland's quality improvement system, Maryland itself.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Holly. And thanks, Deb, for the introduction, and most importantly, the invitation to share some of the things that we are doing in Maryland. Next slide. So Maryland Excels is Maryland's quality rating and improvement system. We are a block system that is voluntarily available for programs across the state of Maryland for our licensed child care centers and registered family homes, as well as school age only programs and our public pre-kindergarten. So those are programs that are facilitated by our local education agencies. While we are voluntary in regards to participation, we do mandate that programs who receive child care scholarship do participate in Maryland Excels. So you can see that participation varies in the 23 counties in one city across the state of Maryland. But if you put all of this together, it shows that about 68% of all of our licensed child care programs are participating, with 82% of those being child care centers and 60% being family child care programs. Next slide. Maryland also has its own accreditation system, which is embedded into our quality rating and improvement system. As a block system, we rate from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest rating and 5 requiring that programs are accredited by either Maryland accreditation, which currently right now is available to child care centers, school age only programs, and our public pre-kindergarten, or that programs participate or are accredited by a national organization. And there are 11 national organizations that we recognize here in Maryland. And the reason that we say recognized is because when programs are accredited and are participating in the quality rating and improvement system, there is an accreditation pathway that is applied. So we don't give an overall rating for accreditation. It is a component of our quality rating and improvement system, but we do give credit for approximately 60% of our Maryland Excel standards for our programs that are accredited. In addition to having our own accreditation system, Maryland also has the Maryland Accreditation Support Fund, and that does two things. It reimburses for the materials that programs see as need for program improvement to support their ability to become accredited. But we also have funds for our programs who are not pursuing Maryland accreditation, and those funds cover the fees that are associated with national accreditation. So our biggest, the biggest folks that use that fund are family child care providers in their pursuit for NAFCC accreditation, and so we cover the fees for them. Next slide. As Holly had mentioned in regards to some of the trends is what states have been doing in regards to revision. Maryland has been in the process of making recommended revisions to our standards since spring of 2021. Deb actually came to one of our focus groups as a way to introduce trends in QIS for QIS to our stakeholders. And we have conducted surveys over the past 3 years of both our stakeholders, our participating programs, and our support staff to make sure that the standard revisions that we're making really are not just looking at best practice and national trends, but really making sure that our Maryland Excel standards are obtainable. We are looking certainly at making sure that we are equitable with how we are looking at our standard revision, and really making sure that our QRIS participation is not burdensome. And so a few examples of things that we have done is we are looking at licensing requirements and matching our Maryland Excel standards per se with what is already done in COMAR, so that we're not duplicating what programs need to submit evidence for. We also had not been providing programs with the ability to get credit for pursuing accreditation. We were only giving them the credit once accreditation was achieved, and now programs can actually publish at a quality rated 4 by demonstrating that they are in the process of accreditation, which was great feedback that we received from our stakeholders to say, we really want to be able to be encouraged to continue to do these things. And so being able to allow our programs to publish higher ratings while they are in process was something that they were really looking at. A few other things that we considered things were cost of childcare and looking at the cost of food, and our standards were requiring fresh fruits and vegetables. And now we're looking at frozen fruits and vegetables that are aligned with the childcare and adult food programs requirements as well. And then also looking at opportunities to broaden how it is that we're defining high quality staff qualifications. Maryland has the child care credential system, which also is a block rated system for staff, individuals who receive staff or administrative credentials leveled from a 1 to a 6 based upon education and experience. And so we had only been looking really at that for our childcare staff qualifications, but now we're looking at how it is that we can support our growing workforce for those who may have degrees outside of early childhood education. Absolutely supporting all of our providers who have taken on the huge task of achieving and being awarded and maintaining a CDA. And really looking at how it is that we can support our family child care providers, where staff and where professional development and obtaining things like degrees in early childhood education or teacher certification can be seen as a real heavy lift, and looking at how it is that we can support them in their pursuit of workforce advancement. One of the things that's really important, though, is that while we've been in the process of revising our standards for the past few years, with the goal of implementation for FY25, we have continued our Maryland Excels, our quality rating and improvement system. We have not stopped applications or participation. Programs continue to work in our current standards, and as we transition to new standards, we're implementing those incrementally. And what will end up happening is, once all of the standards have been revised and the new standards are in place, programs will need to meet the new standards as they increase their ratings. We're going to protect people's ratings, hold people harmless to new standards, as we're able to make sure that people have more than enough time to adopt any of the new requirements. But the biggest thing about our Maryland Excel standards revision is to look at how it is that we can increase our accreditation pathway, and moving from that 60% to about 85 to 90% alignment with accreditation, and also looking at how it is that we can move from currently 32 indicators of rating in our Maryland Excel standards down to about 23. So looking at how it is that we can really compress standards. So if we're asking for elements of lesson plans in 3 different places, how can we put that all together in one? So that way it's one piece of evidence that's being submitted in order for a program to meet the requirements. Next slide. I have to thank every state who ever put in any information into the compendium about financial incentives, because you really did help us in Maryland drive where we are right now. We had the ability to provide financial incentives when our quality rating and improvement system became public, which was in 2013. And we were able to provide bonuses to our programs who were publishing first-time ratings, higher ratings, and for our programs that maintained a quality rate at 5. And that lasted for about 2 fiscal years. And we were able to bring them back with some extra funding from 2018 to 2019. But with monies that were set aside specifically for quality improvement bonuses attached to programs ratings in Maryland Excels, we've been able to look at long-term multiple fiscal years of being able to provide bonuses. And so you'll see that in FY23, that's the yellow column, those were the amounts of bonuses that were provided to programs for publishing those ratings. So first-time ratings, higher ratings, republishing of a quality rate at 5. Those amounts are broken down by program type and by capacity. In FY24, we looked at it a little differently and actually looked at how it is that we could bring our family childcare and large family childcare homes here in Maryland to a more equitable level of bonus incentive with our smaller childcare centers. And so, as you can see, we were able to increase the amount exponentially, almost 3 times the amount for some of our levels. And we were also in FY24 able to provide bonuses for our quality rated 4 programs that were able to maintain that quality rating, which was something we had not been able to do before. To date, we've provided a little over $3 million this fiscal year in financial incentives, and continue to see programs working to increase their ratings in order to receive these bonuses. In Maryland, as I had stated earlier, programs participating are eligible for child care scholarship reimbursement or subsidy vouchers, and we call them scholarships here in Maryland. And for our programs who publish at a quality rate at 3, 4, or 5, they are provided with tiered differential payments rounding from 10 to 44%. And so currently that's about 32% of all of our published programs would be eligible for that differential payment. We currently have 3,585 programs who are receiving scholarship payments, and that's serving a little over 46,000 children. Next slide. Looking at technical support and how it is that we can support professionalism, increase quality in our workforce, we have really looked very specifically at our family child care community. Obviously, nationwide, we're seeing a number of reductions in the number of family child care providers who are open and operating, and they are our largest number of licensed programs here in the state of Maryland. And so we were really looking at how it is that we could increase support for our family child care providers, and specifically targeting some of our lowest income areas. We have focused some pilot work in Baltimore City, where we really are looking at how it is that we can enhance technology, enhance community involvement, be able to look at mentors, as well as develop a number of resources that are going to be available to this specific population to allow for them to increase their quality ratings. And so this was really, a lot of this work actually came from some of those new questions that are in the compendium this year as we were putting together our profile and looking at diversity and equity and assessment, and looking at also what other states had been doing in the past and how we would be able to take some of those ideas, as well as just some of the overall questions that the compendium was asking, and put some of that into the work that we were developing, so that that way we could make sure that as we are preparing our data for future compendiums, that we really are making sure that we are being very intentional at looking at what is, what's important information to be shared for states as we all go through, the revisions of our quality rating and improvement systems, or our quality improvement systems. Next slide. So one of the things that we've worked also really hard with is looking at how it is that we can help our programs promote their quality. And so marketing and advertising and ensuring that families understand where it is that they can go to find high quality programs has been something that we have worked really hard in here in Maryland. And so one of the things that we've done is we've created these quality rating badges. They are digital. However, quarterly, our programs receive them as a window cling that they can put in their programs, as well as put on their marketing advertisements. And we've also developed on our Maryland Excel's website, which when these slides are shown, there'll be a variety of resources that you can access. You'll be able to see where we have an entire page on our website about how programs can use this to promote their programs and their quality ratings. Next slide. We also looked at current additional achievements in our quality rating and improvement system. This is an opportunity for programs who do things outside of the standards to be able to receive recognition. So our programs that are accredited, but may not be at a quality rated 5 yet because they have a few other things that they need to work on, can still get recognition as being an accredited program. We have asthma and allergy friendly trainings and programs here in Maryland that are voluntary for our programs to participate in, but those who do are awarded an asthma and allergy friendly. And so obviously cultural and linguistic competency. And most importantly, our newest one we've added is military childcare in your neighborhood. Maryland and Virginia were the first 2 pilot states for the MCC in your neighborhood plus program several years ago. And so we are encouraging our providers who meet the qualifications to provide care to our military families to be able to market themselves as such. And so those are our additional achievements. And this all is visible for folks who are looking for quality childcare on our next slide. The Find a Program directory, which is available on our Maryland Excel's website. This is a searchable directory so that parents can find programs that are eligible to receive scholarships, what their quality ratings are, if they're accredited, additional achievements, and their program types. And they can filter all of this by county, by zip code, and this will allow for parents to have really great access to quality information as they make choices to select care for their children. And the next slide will show you what it looks like. So you can see this is the visual of what you would see if you were looking for a quality childcare in Columbia, Maryland, and Running Brook Children's Nursery School. They're a quality rated 3. They have a health and wellness additional achievement, and you can see the block system ratings for those programs. So accreditation and rating scale, they're not quite there yet at a 5. We hope that they'll pursue it. The next screenshot is that of a family child care provider in Baltimore County. And so she is a quality rated 5. You can see in the block system that all 5 of those of our content areas in our standards have been rated at a level 5. And she also has several additional achievements that she is able to be recognized for. And this also allows for things such as URLs to be created, contact information. And one of the things that we are going to work hard on over this next fiscal year is bringing additional improvements to our directory, which will allow for there to be a messaging system so that potential families will be able to message programs regarding the ability for enrollment or specific questions within our system. Our providers will actually be able to come in and input information from everything from their current fees, if that's what they want to put out, if they want, or pictures. And so it's really going to become quite the interactive site. And so those are some of the new things that we are working hard on here in Maryland. And again, information that is both in our compendium report, but also, again, a huge thank you to all of the states who participate in putting in that information, because it has really allowed for us to hone in on everything from technical assistance and support to standards and revisions, to the financial incentives that we're offering and how we're offering them, and most importantly, how we can increase the conversation regarding the importance of quality care here in Maryland, and how Maryland excels and Maryland accreditation fit into that. So thank you so much. That is, you can go to the next slide so that people can see. These are some of the resources that we've identified as being helpful for those that are on the call. So our current standards, information regarding bonuses, the Maryland Excels Toolkit, which is an interactive website that provides assistance with policy building and provides resources, additional information on our achievements as to how those achievements are achieved and maintained, access to the Find a Program directory, and then additional information on Maryland accreditation. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I'll pass it back over to Deb.
Hi, Jenna. Can you hear me?
And yep.
Oh, we have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
In Maryland, can you hear me okay?
Yep. I can hear you.
In Maryland, are the bonuses awarded to programs, are they tied to any reporting requirements or something that they specifically have to purchase, or can they be used for anything?
So for the Maryland accreditation reimbursement funds, which I think is what that question is specific to, since it talked about materials, it cannot be consumable. But we do allow for curriculum. We allow for, new equipment for classrooms. And in fact, if you visit the Maryland accreditation link here, we have guidance for how to select those approved materials for both infants and toddlers, for our preschool programs and our school age only programs, and how they're aligned with the Maryland accreditation standards. We also, because we partner with some vendors, Lakeshore is one of them, as well as Kaplan, they have also developed flyers or brochures or small little catalogs that are very specific to programs going through Maryland accreditation, and they can help them also select those materials, and then they get discounts because they're participating in Maryland accreditation or Maryland Excel. So there's guidance regarding that on the web.
Thanks for sharing that. Looking at the financials that you showed how they've grown from 2003. Mm-hmm. Was there a slower growth period prior to 2003, or was 2004 the first year where you really were able to supplement those?
2004 was really the first time we were able to come out with big bonuses. When we first started bonuses, those $150 bonuses were $50 bonuses. So we've come a long way in regards to our financial.
Made some progress.
Yeah, really big progress.
Sure. Well, two more questions. Mm-hmm. We have, of course, a lot of interest in the cultural and linguistic competency badge. Is there a resource that you've directed us to that would tell more about what's required for that badge?
Yes, there's a link for the additional achievements in the resources where you can get some more information. What's important is that we offer some specific cultural and linguistic competency training. We're a WIDA state. here in Maryland. And so we
Nice.
have several opportunities for our providers to take some intensive training. And we want to thank our friends both at NACI and in New York who created an amazing assessment tool regarding cultural competency in their in programs. And we have our programs complete that self-assessment and provide us with evidence of how their program is culturally competent in order to provide them with that achievement.
Great. One final question, and I know you were going to get this. What's a Judy Center? The short
That's
and
a great
sweet answer.
question. Yeah, short and sweet answer is a Judy Center is a hub. It's a family hub that supports early childhood and quality care with both partners in childcare as well as in the public school system, and provides education for families. There's more information about that on the website as well.
Oh, that's just great. Thank you so much for sharing
Absolutely.
this information. I can tell people were really interested. They're all asking if we're going to post the webinar, and yes, we will. And let's go move forward to Illinois. Holly?
Thank you so much, Deb, and wonderful job, Jenna. It was great to hear everything that Maryland is doing. Lots of exciting things to take away from that presentation, so thank you again. I'm excited for the opportunity to highlight Illinois' quality recognition and improvement system. So let's dive in. Next slide. I want to begin by sharing a bit of the history and timeline for the Illinois Quality Improvement System. Quality Counts began in 2007. Quality Counts was specific to childcare and was a 4-star system for licensed childcare centers and licensed homes. In 2013, during Race to the Top, Illinois transitioned over the course of 2 years from the original Quality Counts program to Accelerate Illinois. This shift was to encompass a cross-sector relationship with childcare, Head Start, Early Head Start, and Preschool for All in the Quality Improvement System. In January of 2022, there were some minor revisions to the standards and requirements for childcare, homes, and center-based programs. And then today we have approximately 2,856 programs that participate in the Illinois Quality Improvement System. These numbers are across both the Accelerate Illinois program and the Gateways Training Peers program. I'm going to discuss both of these programs in more details in the presentation, but first I want to give a brief overview of our agency structures and organization partners. Next slide. Thank you. There are 3 main partners that provide the overall management and work together to develop a strong cross-sector quality recognition and improvement system in Illinois. At the top of the graphic, you have the Illinois Department of Human Services, which is where I reside, and IDHS, which is the lead agency for the Child Care Development Funds in Illinois. IDHS provides and contracts for a variety of services to support children, families, and individuals. Oversight for the licensed child care programs, Head Start, and licensed exempt providers participating with the QRS program flows through the Division of Early Childhood within DHS. Moving to the right of the graphic, you will see the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies, also known as INCRA. INCRA is a statewide organization that is a grantee of IDHS. INCRA supports and assists IDHS in coordinating the work of the statewide quality and recognition improvement system and administers the program on behalf of IDHS. Moving left of INCRA, you will see the Illinois State Board of Education, or ISB. ISB provides oversight for the Preschool for All programs that participate in Accelerate Illinois. And at the center of the graphic, we have the child care programs that this work focuses on. IDHS, ISB, and INCRA support with the overall management of the system, but as you can see, there are other significant partners in this work. First, we have the Illinois Licensing Agency, which is the Department of Children and Family Services. The licensing regulations serve as the foundation of quality for child care in Illinois. Next, we have the McCormick Center for Early Childhood Leadership at National Louis University that conducts our on-site assessments using our assessment scales. And then last but certainly not least are the 16 Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies, or the CCR&Rs. The CCR&Rs provide training and technical assistance supports for our child care providers statewide. And more specifically, they house the quality and infant and toddler child care specialists that work with the programs in our QRAS. Next slide. So now that I've talked a little bit about the history and the partners involved, I wanted to go into some specifics of our QRIS program for childcare, Accelerate Illinois. Next slide. Accelerate Illinois is our quality recognition and improvement system. This is a voluntary program for childcare providers to participate in. All licensed childcare programs are at the licensed circle of quality just by holding a license through DCFS. Programs must apply to Accelerate Illinois to participate at the bronze, silver, or gold level. Currently, Illinois has 849 licensed programs that participate in Accelerate Illinois. Of that, 572 are licensed child care centers and 277 are licensed family child care homes. As I mentioned earlier, Quality Counts was our previous system in Illinois, which utilized a rating system approach. Following recommendations from past QRIS policy directors and the governor's office, our system has now transitioned over to one that recognizes quality of improvement through 4 circles. I've listed the eligible programs here, which include licensed centers and homes, early Head Start and Head Start, and state preschool for all programs, which includes the prevention initiative programs. Programs receive a certificate upon award of their circle of quality, along with correspondence to be sent to prospective and current families, notifying them of the program's achievements. And at the bottom of the slide here, you'll see a link that's going to take you directly to the homepage for Accelerate Illinois. Next slide. Accelerate recognizes early learning providers for their ongoing efforts to improve the quality of their care by awarding a Circle of Quality designation. As I mentioned, Accelerate Illinois has 4 circles of quality. Beginning with the licensed circle of quality, this level tells you that the program meets state licensing standards for quality. In Illinois, we define this as the foundation for quality. Next, we have the bronze circle of quality. This circle recognizes the qualification of program staff. It tells you that the program has completed Accelerate Illinois trainings, has met or working towards qualifications, and is engaged in continuous quality improvement. The silver circle of quality recognizes the programs that meet or exceed specific quality benchmarks on learning environment and instructional quality, along with selected program administrative standards, staff qualifications, and professional development. Silver level programs are actively engaged in continuous quality improvement, which is verified via an on-site assessment from a state-approved assessor. And lastly, the gold circle of quality recognizes programs that meet or exceed specific quality benchmarks on learning environment, instructional quality, group size and staff-child ratios, staff qualifications, professional development, and all program administrative standards. The gold circle is indicative of a solid quality early learning and development program, which is confirmed by an on-site verification visit from the state-approved assessor. Next slide. Accelerate Illinois uses a consistent set of standards organized into 4 domains: teaching and learning, family and community engagement, leadership and management, and qualifications and continuing education. Programs achieve one of the circles of quality based on meeting standards under each of the 4 domains that are listed here. Next slide. Under the domain Leadership and Management, here is an example of the Child Care Center's standards overview for continuous quality improvement. At the top of each is the standard requirement, then below is the evidence the program must show to demonstrate they meet the standard requirement. Some things to highlight on this example is how the standards progress to increase quality at each circle and monitor their continuous quality improvement efforts as a program with supports from the CCR&R specialist. The bronze circle notes the training for continuous quality improvement, but has programs work to achieve silver and gold. The evidence aims to have the programs outline the continuous quality improvement process for their program, with the goal at the gold circle being how the implementation for continuous quality improvement will be incorporated to fidelity for the program. Some of the program level measures and instruments that are used throughout the standards are noted here on this slide. The Department of Children and Family Service licensing standards, accreditation through NACE or NAC, environment rating scales, the program administration scales, the classroom assessment scoring system, the Head Start performance standards, and then the Illinois per school for all compliance checklist. Next slide. The ultimate goal of Accelerate Illinois is that young children be ready in life and academically. The quality standards in Accelerate Illinois provide a framework that's based in research, but to achieve the goal of our QRAS, each program must apply the standards in its own way to meet the unique needs of each enrolled child and family. Each program takes responsibility for improving its own quality on a continuous basis, not just to achieve a rating. Accelerate Illinois defines continuous quality improvement in a cyclical manner. Continuous quality improvement is a leadership philosophy and an ongoing process that involves the plan, do, study, act cycle. It is proactive, not reactive, and it is related to the internal owning of a process by a team in a program. It goes beyond meeting the minimum level of regulations and standards and requires an internal change for a program based on data to guide decisions and reflect upon the results of their improvement plan to increase the program quality. The Accelerate Illinois approach to continuous quality improvement includes program quality standards for each circle of quality and instruments to measure them. The plan, do, study, act cycle, as you see reflected here on this slide, and then resources and funded supports for program leaders implementing continuous quality improvement. Using this model, programs will set the overarching goal by collaboratively defining what the team wants to achieve and by creating a shared picture of the future for the program. This helps create ownership and commitment to continuous quality improvement. Next slide. On this slide, I wanted to highlight what it can look like at the program level when continuous quality improvement occurs. First, starting in the planning stage where program leaders become familiar with the Accelerate system and standards. In this stage, they will determine either the accreditation or assessment route for their program. Once they've chosen their route, the program leader begins to lead the continuous quality improvement process. For a program going through assessment route, they begin attending orientation, studying the standards, and the continuous quality improvement planning worksheet, which I've provided that link at the bottom of the slide. Program leaders then learn about the data sources, the assessment instruments, and compliance checklists. Other opportunities like cohorts and community of practice or peer support groups are beneficial to lead the continuous quality improvement practice. This supports not only program leaders, but how the program can build professional learning communities within their program. This reflective learning practice gives programs and program leaders the ability to use plans to assign and track responsibilities on the process. And these plans involve all of the staff and outline timelines and milestones. Ultimately, this process allows a shared value system for the program to commit to the continuous quality improvement. Next slide. There are many benefits for programs who participate with Accelerate. With continuous quality improvement at the center, it allows programs to focus on having ongoing quality improvement as a priority that includes a whole child and program approach for those efforts. Through a tiered standards, training, technical assistance, and other supports, Accelerate Illinois provides early learning programs with the roadmap and resources they need to continuously improve the quality of their services. Next slide. In addition to whole program and child benefits, there are also financial incentives for programs achieving and maintaining circles of quality. For programs participating in Illinois' Child Care Assistance Program and achieving silver and gold levels, they receive quality add-ons. For silver programs, they receive a 10% quality add-on, and gold programs receive a 15% quality add-on. Additionally, there is access to quality improvement grants, which are administered by our child care resource and referral agencies. These funds go towards cohort participation, which is for programs working towards or maintaining silver and gold. These require completion of the continuous quality improvement assessment and full cohort participation to receive these funds. The training stipends are also available for programs working towards or maintaining a circle of quality, bronze, silver, and gold. And the training must be required for an Accelerate Illinois Circle of Quality, and it must be an Accelerate Illinois approved training. And lastly, accreditation assistance is available for programs applying or maintaining at the silver or gold levels. These funding areas vary based on the provider type and the license capacity, and the funding areas support programs in cohort participation with equipment costs based on their self-assessment. The cohort training, the training stipends and accreditation assistance funding opportunities all require programs to work with the child care resource and referral specialists. Next slide. So now that we've talked a little bit about the Accelerate Illinois quality recognition improvement system, I want to talk about focus on our license exempt quality improvement system in Illinois, the Gateways training tiers. Next slide. Illinois offers a quality improvement system for our license exempt home providers. This is referenced as the Gateways Training Tiers program. Participation in the Gateways Training Tiers is voluntary, and there are 3 training tiers that consist of 16 3-hour modules. Training Tier 1 module includes overview of child development, along with health, nutrition, and safety issues and group care. Training 2 modules include observation and guidance, relationship-based trainings, and personal and professional development. And then training 3 tier modules include child growth and development that focuses on social, emotional, physical, language, and cognitive development by age grouping, starting at birth and going up to the school-age child. The Gateways ECE Credential Level 1 is achieved upon completion of all 3 training tiers. Currently, we have in Illinois about 2,007 exempt providers that participate at some level with the Gateways training tiers. Next slide, please. On this slide, I've outlined the training grid to support providers in understanding the Gateways training tiers. On the left-hand side of the grid, it outlines the number of modules, which training modules are required, and the Child Care Assistance Program percentage add-on rate that providers achieve across each tier. For license exempt providers interested in participating with the Gateways training tiers, they first need to complete the 1-hour Gateways training tiers orientation and a minimum of Gateways training tier 1 prior to applying. Once all 3 Gateways training tiers are completed, the provider receives the Gateways ECE Credential Level 1. If the license exempt provider cares for children eligible for the Child Care Assistance Program, an add-on percentage between 10% and 20%, depending upon the training tier completed, takes effect on the following month's child care services. Next slide. So outside of the financial incentives already discussed, I wanted to highlight some of the other supports we have integrated into our system for Illinois. Next slide. The infant toddler child care specialists, the quality specialists, and the infant early childhood mental health consultants provide consultation, technical assistance, and training for providers. The infant toddler and quality specialists are located across the state in the child care resource and referral agencies. These positions are established within the CCR&R system to provide localized supports to providers working towards and those who are maintaining a circle of quality. The infant toddler and quality specialists provide technical assistance on all assessment scales, and provide mentoring to program leaders in planning and implementing quality improvements. They also may lead cohorts of program leaders who are working together on quality improvements, where the infant and toddler specialists will complete these as well, but they will focus on the infant toddler programs. The infant, toddler, and quality specialists work with DHS staff and our partners at National Louis University by participating in ongoing professional development days to continue learning how to support programs. These days provide an opportunity for a variety of learning areas for our specialists. For example, working through scenarios, role play, and allowing specialists to better understand where scales assessments might be low on certain areas and what strategies they can use in the field to support program improvement. The infant early childhood mental health consultants are contracted through a grantee of IDHS and are located across the state. The infant early childhood mental health consultants conduct trainings and provide technical assistance to providers to support healthy social emotional development for children. They also provide consultation when there are children who present difficult behavior or other mental health related issues. Additionally, the CCR&R specialists have ongoing meetings with the infant early childhood mental health consultants to ensure strong partnerships and communications to best support programs they serve. Next slide. Okay, so looking ahead. As we look ahead for Illinois, I wanted to primarily touch on a few areas of focus and consideration. Currently, Illinois is set up with 3 large state agencies overseeing our child care providers. Licensed programs receive licensing oversight from the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. Although DCFS does not administer the QRIS system, the child care program's compliance with licensing plays an imperative role for Accelerate Illinois. License exempt provider receive oversight from the Illinois Department of Human Services Division of Early Childhood and the Illinois School Board of Education, rounding us out with the Preschool for All and Prevention and Initiative programs, Head Start and Early Head Start programs, and Chicago Public School programs. These programs have a different process for the application and renewal process that is conducted through our State Board of Education agency for QRIS. A few of the changes for Illinois have been on the horizon in the early care and education field. In 2021, Governor Pritzker established an inaugural division of early childhood at IDHS. Now in his second term, Governor Pritzker continues his efforts of making Illinois the best state for children and families by creating an executive order to propose a unified early childhood state agency in Illinois. As this work is underway through the legislation and budget process in Illinois in the coming fiscal year, there's going to be lots of things for us to consider with our current programs and services. And additionally, on this slide, I just wanted to highlight some of the work that's occurred over the past few years through a subcommittee of the Illinois Early Learning Council. Work has been completed to review the Accelerate Illinois programs and standards framework. This work focused on 3 big changes to the existing Accelerate Illinois system. 1, looking at a funding first focus with foundational contracts available to support the staffing needed at each circle of quality. The next is focused on supporting cultures of improvement for programs to incorporate new standards and provide coaching for programs working to implement continuous quality improvement. And lastly, implementing standards and guidance that are strengthened for dual language learners, culturally responsive teaching strategies, and children with disabilities and developmental delays. Given some of the proposed changes I mentioned in Illinois that will occur over the next few years, we are eager to see the work of this subcommittee and the roadmap they have developed to come to fruition for our system. Next slide. So lastly, as I close out Illinois' portion, I just wanted to provide some of the website links for our programs and the professional development system here in Illinois, beginning here with some of the Accelerate Illinois and Gateways Training Tiers links. These links will guide you to some of the key pieces I touched on during today's presentation. And then next slide, please. And then the next ones here are just links that are going to connect you to Illinois' registry membership and then the statewide programs that are offered through our professional development record that providers can utilize to summarize all of their education and professional development learning opportunities. And then our current membership for the registry allows access to a lot of our statewide financial opportunities and programs, like our wage supplement program, our scholarship program, our Gateways credentials, our professional development advisor program, and then our Smart Start transition grants. Next slide. And that is all for me. Thank you.
We can't hear you at the moment, Debbie.
How about this? Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, great. Here's a question that's come in. People really picked up when you talked about license exempt programs. How do you recruit license exempt programs, and how's it gotten so interesting for that 2,000 programs to participate in that? Can you tell us a little more about that?
We do have a pretty strong license exempt program in Illinois. A lot of that support is through our, sorry, I'm getting some bad feedback right now. Okay. Through our child care resource and referral agencies and the supports that they provide for those license exempt providers, they work in the community to try to recruit and retain some of those providers, both on the license side and the license exempt side. So a lot of that work is really on the ground at the local level that we see. And then also trying to make sure that we're engaging them through the Gateways training tiers to offer some of those incentives as they work towards the training requirements aligned with that.
That's great. Thanks so much. There was a lot of interest. Did any of your resources point to a little bit more about the license exempt part of the discussion?
The Gateways training tiers has information, but I can provide some more about our license exempt process in Illinois, if that would be helpful for everybody.
I think people would really appreciate that. Thank you, Holly. Well, gosh, I'd just like to thank both of you, Illinois and Maryland, for sharing your ideas, experiences, and what you've learned over the last couple of years. And I'd really like to thank the Child Trends team for all their work they do to make the compendium such a valuable resource to the field. And I wanted to let everybody know when you close out of the session, an evaluation will pop up, and please complete it. It's part of our CQI to get feedback from our participants about the series and about the content, and we really appreciate hearing from you. So thanks again to Holly and Jenna and the child care team. Oh, here's a link. Holly just put, thank you, that was quick. So folks can pick up that link, but we'll add it to the slide too. So thank you again, everyone. Bye-bye.